Afternoon, YouTube fans. Admiral Preparedness here. Day 16 of our Eating Only MREs for 21 days. What I've done today is brought out everything that's included in 2-day rations. Some I've already consumed, and obviously here are some of the ones that I haven't. What I get to do is pick out from this menu package, the two MREs. I can break it into whatever way I want to eat them. I can eat them one at a time, is what I've been doing lately by showing you with mini reviews on what the items are. Today I've already had the first strike meal. I've already used one of the drinks, and I haven't done anything else. I haven't had the coffee from this one yet. But basically, what I want to go into today is how the government dates or lets the consumer or the troop know the item's date of manufacture. Everywhere on these guys, you've always see some kind of a laser printing. Right here is that actual manufacture date, 2013, which is a 3. There's 365 days in a year, so they go by day of the year. This one is 3305. So 3305. Now the B designates the shift, A shift or B shift. And then the other codes, those are internal to the manufacturer for the supplier of certain parts of the meals and what time of day the actual meal was put together. It'd be 1540 on that 2013 year. Au gratin potatoes, that's the name of the product that's inside the retort. And of course, each one of the ones with the bags are done. Now, when it comes to items that are packaged either by this manufacturer or by another manufacturer and delivered in, they'll have their code date stamped alongside the top. As with this company, they put theirs along the bottom. Their military standards or mil spec, military specifications that the manufacturer has to follow. Now, what they've done here is they've gone with a civilian or commercial off-the-shelf COS. That's one thing there that is not going to have a date. Now, when it comes to snack foods or candies or anything like that, the manufacturer has a best buy date that they laser imprint on the package itself also. So you can see that this guy here has a expiration date of Best Buy 12/2014. Now, of course, it goes into a separate packaging. That will be the AmeriQuil packaging that they use. And this is that packaging. Sometimes, if you can look, if you ever do look at one of these bags, you can see that it has a recessed bottom and it has a flat top. Now, on the production line, this will sit inside of an individual little pocket. The top won't be there, and as the thing goes through the manufacturing process, the workers or the machine will load the different items inside of that specific meal via programmed build list, so to speak. So as it gets to the end, then the final process would be to seal it. Now, I've seen some of these where they vacuum sealed them, and others they haven't. The ones that are vacuum sealed are the ones that have these guys put in them, and then the entire containers vacuum sealed. Now, they also, if they don't vacuum seal them, they're going to nitrogen flush them. So as this thing goes through the production line, the nitrogen flushes out the oxygen and other gases that are not damaging to the food over time. Of course, that's all good and said and done. But remember, once this guy was sealed, it's like suspended animation. This product will remain edible depending on how it's stored for a very, very long time. Now, items like this, which is the cheese spread, now the product is a cheese product, so it's eventually over time will come out of basically its own consistency. So the oils will leach out from the cheese product. That's why the manufacturer and the military recommend that you need these guys. Now, what you don't want to do with this is put it into some boiling water or heat source, the engine block or your heater or your campfire, where it could become overheated, because then it'll definitely separate the oil and it'll break down and it won't be any good. So basically, get it above freezing. Knead it. You got nothing else to do. You stand there and knead it. The longer you knead it, the better it's gonna reconstitute itself. If it's really super hard, then oxygen has gotten to it and it's no longer any good. The moisture's gone. When it comes to something like this, the jam, the strawberry, you're gonna hit a crapshoot, because depending on how it was stored, like this was fairly cool. It's been about 68 degrees because it's been kept in a cool environment. You got to go by the ingredients. Now, if there's a lot of sodium, the sodium acts like a preservative. Sugar is also a preservative. So the higher the concentration of sugar or salt means it's going to have a longer shelf life. Since oxygen can't get to this, light can't get to this, temperature and time are your two enemies of something like this. When it comes to guys like this guy, which is the actual oatmeal cookie by Sterling Foods, now they've gone through their science, technology, and determined what they need to do when they make that cookie. And once they put it in this container, that cookie could sit in here. I'm going to shoot out there and tell you guys it can go a very, very long time. Longer than 2 years, longer than 4 years. I've eaten these when they're 15 years old, as long as it was kept in a low temperature or non-oscillating temperature, where the temperature goes up and goes down, goes up and goes down. Constant temperature around 62 degrees or below to freezing makes these guys last a whole lot longer. But remember, the higher the temperature, the shorter the shelf life. When it comes to these guys, what you have to worry about here is along the edge. The thicker that material has been sealed, like for instance, this guy could last a very, very long time, because again, if there's oxygen in there, some of the material will decompose over time. What the hope is that it was put through a nitrogen flush in the packaging process. When it comes to things like salt, well, salt is salt. It's what's on the planet Earth. The only thing that can get to this guy to ruin it would be moisture, or a chemical reaction with other chemicals that react with sodium. The Chiclets gum, basically they're sealed in a container. It feels like it's been sealed pretty well, because I can tell there's a pressure on it. I can see that pressure when I push on it. If this didn't have that situation, I would be concerned. The shelf life would be nothing. But the material that will react with each other, so you have to watch these guys, but most of the time they're going to be okay. When it comes to these type of packaging here, the key is moisture. If moisture can't get in, and if the O2 level in here is very low, then this stuff will last forever. When it comes to things like the First Strike bar, there was no oxygen removal in here. The sugar content was what would keep it intact. Now, when you open these guys up, you're going to find a layering process done by the manufacturer. The outer covering, as you can, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a clear plastic material, then a metal type material. Those two over time may delaminate, but as long as this doesn't have a pinprick or small pinholes or any reason to allow oxygen in here, this guy should last for a long time. Now with the beef sticks, what they've done here is they've done a second container. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up and show you what I'm talking about. Because if you notice, it's got the little pouch affair. There's a pouch. The manufacturer has created a little pouch where this thing will drop in on the production line, and then once again it goes through a sealing process. So let's just open this guy up and I'll show you. Now once again, it has the metallized interior, the clear plastic with the other side material. Now here what they've done is they've actually vacuum sealed this guy. So technically I could take this guy here, dispose of the container, put this in a place where it can no longer be exposed to sunlight, which is a destroyer. Oxygen can't get to it, but you got to worry about vermin, now little insects and bugs. But as long as this guy has got that vacuum feeling, and you can tell that it's been vacuum sealed. As long as it doesn't penetrate that vacuum and release that vacuum, this guy could last a very, very, very long time. Now, of course, over time, there might be some internal oxidation because you may not have removed all the oxygen completely from the item. But it's my best guess that these bad boys right here are falling through the production process, and they're going to be almost guaranteed to be very tasty several years, if not a couple decades later. If you want to experiment, all you gotta do is buy something like this guy, and if you've got the time, they've got the food. When it comes to guys like this, now these again, they're off the shelf items from basic consumers manufacturers. What their hope there is that since this product does not have a use by date anywhere on it, it does have it does have a date on it. I take that back. 3226 was the manufacturer date. So if you get a hold of the manufacturer and ask them, well, it's got a 3226, they're going to have to at least go 5 years because the MRE is put in has a sustainable shelf life of 5 years. So you can just about expect somewhere out there in the real world, there are cases upon cases upon cases of MREs that some supply officer has to be responsible for, and he's maintaining a strict quality control over their temperature, storage temperature. But again, and eventually it's going to be recycled through the supply system and end up on your surplus MRE website. A lot of guys out there are going to go, well, why would I want to try to resell something that's out of expiration if it's 15 years old? Would be why some guys are out there buying these MREs 15 years old. There's somebody's going to buy them. Now, I'm sure that they do have contracts where they properly dispose of MREs by the pallet, not just by the meal itself. You know, they don't take these out individually and throw them away. They're going to take the entire pallet and dispose of them, or I would hope that they go through some sort of recycling where the material that can be recycled is recycled and the biodegradable stuff goes into biodegradable, and then the non-recyclable material goes into the waste system. That's something somebody could ask their congressman and senator and House representative to somebody to research about, because that's jobs. If I'm throwing these in a landfill, that's just throwing money away. So in saying that, I haven't sat down and thought about how I'm going to put these together for a meal today, but I've already had these items and they're already been previously reviewed, so I'm not going to go do that again. But what I'd like to cover now is some items that we don't talk about. Like for instance, you know, you put this guy away for 2-3 years. You're out there, the stuff's hit the fan. Now you're relying on memory, but at least one good thing is there's a date. So let's say it's 2019. It's the 1st of October. You found a location where this has been found. Your best guess is that it has storage temperature of around 68 degrees. So you're going to go on the limb and go, I know it's military quality. I know the manufacturer by government contract had to be able to at least go 5 years. It's sat in a place where it's not moist. There's no insects. I can't see any place on it where it appears to have been chewed on by other life forms. It doesn't have any mold on it, because you don't want to grab it. If it's got mold on it, what are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and put it in water, put it in bleach. You're going to, however, that's up to you. That's your risk. It's something that you have to think about. Let's say you came upon somebody's house. You're out scavenging. The owners are no longer there. They've abandoned a place, and you find 20 cases of MREs down in a very dry, low humidity basement. Temperature about 55 to 70 degrees, depending on the time of year you go in there. Now that's up to you. That's all up to you. You have to use your own discretion. If you're hungry and you see a few cases of MREs, or you run into a 5-gallon bucket and you open it up and it's got these in it, well, knock yourself out, because you're in the middle of a situation where you're going to either starve, or you're going to walk and do without, or you're going to grab them and just use your 3 senses. Those 3 senses are sight, smell, and taste. Take a little bit of a bite. If it looks like it's nasty and got, it's got a lot of bacteria growing on the outside of it, and you can wipe it off, go out and put them in a boiling water and let them boil for a couple minutes or whatever. That's already up to you. Remember, you have to use your own discretion. Don't use what I'm saying. I'm just saying the ways what I would do is say, okay, I'm going to hit it with bleach. I'm going to put it out in the sun. I'm going to let the bleach just evaporate off. I've got it completely clean. I'm going to put it away. I'm going to let everybody know that don't eat that material. Now, when it comes to something like this, I'm not going to eat it if it's 15 years old because it's been in a commercial product. There's no guarantee. But if it's something like this and it's 15 years old and it has a little bit of pliability to it, and I can tell that it's not been opened up or there's no pinholes or anything like that, or if it's like this in a vacuum and it's vacuum sealed and it's been vacuum sealed for several years, I'm pretty much going to bet that it's probably going to be good, depending on what's in it. Because remember, if it's been baked, it's got certain oils in it that can become rancid, but they have to be exposed to air. If it's been exposed to a lot of heat, then again, there's your crapshoot, because the heat is what can be detrimental to what's inside. Once again, the quick way to tell is if you've got a complete MRE and you look at the candies, you look at the chocolates. If the chocolate looks like it's been broken and it doesn't look like it should have the day it went in, then pretty much all the other stuff has been exposed to that same condition. Some things, again, like this guy here, may be able to survive that period, but that's all about your stomach and your smell and your sight. Always take a small sample. Don't eat the whole thing all at once. Don't feed it to your dog. That's ridiculous. Take a small sample, put it aside. If you don't get sick, then go for it. If you find something like this, it's in a retort bag. It's got some sort of it feels pliable. The date is several years out of the manufacturer's recommended ingest period, but again, it's all up to that moment when you open it up. Hopefully by then you've got another way to heat your food, and so you don't have to worry about starting a fire and turning yourself wherever you got to go. But again, it's all about discretion of your own use. If it smells bad, don't eat it. If it looks a little off, but the smell is still spot on, it's only because the visual appealness is gone because of time. Again, it all comes to things like this. If it was in a vacuum, it's maintained its constant temperature, it hasn't exceeded that, it's probably still chewable. Guys like this, I'd probably pass. I just don't think it would have a very long shelf life because these are not really meant to have that. When it comes to drinks, now I've seen a lot of things over the internet where guys have taken these and they've become rock hard. The reason why that is because something's happened to the contents. They've either reacted with each other, the iron has reacted with some of the chemical inside the drink. Again, I've recently opened up some things that I've purchased online. I knew they were going to be very old, and so I found out that they were useless. They were I didn't open them, but I knew that by touching them that these guys aren't going to be healthy to ingest. So it's more of a collectible. When you come upon a 35-year-old MRE and it's the world's come to an end, who cares? Eat what you can and put away what you don't. Don't feed it to the animals. So in saying that, this is another day closer to the end of eating MREs. It's again, I feel fine. The digestive system has never really had a problem with it. So the study takers and the people who analyze my information should be pretty happy. This is Admiral Preparedness here. If you like our channel, subscribe. If you got any questions, please feel to ask. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.